Is this fine? Because it's gonna be fine. I just spent a good. I just spent a good 2-3 minutes trying to figure out how to fit this headset on my head. Because I've always just thrown my hair up and it's fine because it just goes right on my head. But now my hair is shorter and I'm wearing it down, and now there's hair between me and everything, and I'm like, I don't know how to do this. But this is my microphone, so I should probably just invest in like a normal microphone that doesn't have to be on my head. But this is fine. This is fine for right now. This is fine. We reached another week. Well, I guess it's really technically been 2 weeks. I didn't do a whole lot this past week, mostly because I had a party that I went to. A friend of mine is getting married. We had our bachelorette party on Saturday, and yeah, I drank a little more than I probably should have at my age. And Sunday, I don't really remember because I slept a lot. Missed a meeting. I was sleeping. I don't really remember Monday all that well, other than I was still real nauseous, didn't do a whole lot. And then Tuesday had a migraine, so lost Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. I thought it was Tuesday all day. I Am I hearing sirens? Okay, no joke. I'm pretty sure I'm hearing storm sirens. I live in the middle of nowhere. I have never heard a storm siren at my house before because we're too far away from all of them. Oh, I mean, it's stormy. There was tornadoes in St. Louis earlier today, I'm pretty sure. Or tornado warnings according to the radar. I don't know. I don't live in St. Louis. I live slightly away from St. Louis, but there were storms heading this way. It's not really stormy outside right now, but I don't know what I'm hearing. Could be just losing my mind. Post migraine hallucinations. Who knows? Anyway, uh back to writing business. I started I went back to that old trilogy that I was trying to work on. I kind of went through this, very quick, do I find like an editor for this first book? But then I realized kind of how much proper professional editing was going to cost. And then I kind of had like, panic attack of I don't want to spend that much money right now on this book when I was still trying to figure out book two. Should there be a book two? Should book two and book three just be one book and it's a duology? So after several panic attacks and losing like an entire Saturday trying to figure out what this plot of book two was going to be, I do have a plot for book two. I don't have a plot for book three, but I know how book two leads into book three now. Like I know who like the central villain is going to be in book two. That's a siren. Where the hell is a siren coming from? I mean, there's a tractor in the field behind my house. I wonder if it's just making weird noises. But no, that is a siren. If we entered Silent Hill, I'm thinking I'm losing my mind. But my primary goal, like I had kind of set, okay, I'm gonna work on this trilogy because I didn't have like one project that I was really working on that I was kind of pushing to, okay, focus on this one project and finish it because I have like 5 rough drafts that I had, previously worked on, and I just none of them were really calling to me. So I like sat down. I was like, okay, I'm gonna pull this old trilogy out. I'm gonna work on this series. This is what I'm gonna do. And I kind of got back into book two, read through my notes, sat down, and I have now an outline for the book. It's exciting. I know where it starts. I know the trigger point for like the midpoint. I know where it ends. That's so exciting because that's a lot more than I had when I started. And I think for me, that is like a big point of like trying to figure out where a book is going and where it fits in. And just before I even start sitting down and like writing it and figuring out scenes and stuff, I need to know basically like where it starts, Sirens again. I don't understand where the sirens are coming from. There's no siren close. Unless they've built them in some town nearby that did not have sirens during the last storm, which was like 3 weeks ago. Whatever. Okay, whatever. I'm not gonna. I don't. I've lost my train of thought. But okay, so that was my goal. My goal was gonna be that trilogy. And then. And then I squirreled, and I spent the last two, like, opportunities to write, I guess I'm gonna call them, focusing on that contemporary romance folk horror that I've been working on. It's got a strong romantic aspect, but it's also got some strong horror aspect, like a folk horror, like, haunted woods and stuff. I guess I can't really explain like what draws me to a particular project. It's just whatever project that I can't stop thinking about, whichever one draws me in, whatever set of characters or plot that I feel compulsed to work on. And because, I've been so busy this past 6 months, I haven't really had a chance to really sit down and focus on any of them. Not, there's not one idea that's pulling me in. And I haven't really sat down and worked on a series since uh we published the last 3 books of the Stars and Bones series. And before that, it was the Heart of Stone trilogy. And I haven't been able to focus on a series. Like I have 2 series right now just sitting on my computer. The Inheritance one, the trilogy that I kind of started to get into, that's like more of an adult romantasy. But then I also have a young adult fantasy. It's a quartet, whatever book four books are, and books 1, 2, 3 are done. Like I feel comfortable letting people like an editor look at them. Book 4 is not. It has fallen into that trap of trying to stay motivated on book 4 when no one has looked at book 1. So I have no idea if there's like a gaping plot hole in book 1 that's going to change the entire series. I don't know. And just trying to keep that sense of motivation going has been a struggle, so I kind of fell out of that one. But I've the last several books that I've worked on, the first drafts that I have done, or the rough drafts, I should say, they've all been standalones. Like the one that's coming out here this year, A Bloodied Crown, that vampire romantasy, is a standalone so far. I've got an idea for like a book 2, but it's not like a direct sequel. It's more like it's following a different character, and it's a kind of a separate story. But again, that's just kind of an idea. I think I wrote the opening to that one, or what could be an opening. But I wrote, oh, I can't think of it. I know what it's called. It's real wintry, like it's set in like a northern cold ice kingdom. But that one, high fantasy, kind of a romantasy. But it was, as of right now, I think it's like 70,000 words, just the rough draft. So there's a very good chance it's either going to be like a duology or maybe even the start of a new series. I don't know. It's just, I remember that sense of magic that I got when I was working on like Stars and Bones, and just exploring this world thoroughly and these characters, and just having so much for them to do, but also like freaking out because I didn't have enough for them to do at the same time. It's weird, but I think it's just my skills as writer has skills has my skills as a writer have evolved enough that I kind of know, how much story I need and how much story I have and how many books that's going to constitute. And I've also learned um, to not look ahead too far. Like, don't think about book 2 when you're not even done with book 1. Don't think about book 3 or 4 when you're still on the rough draft of book 1. Like, hold on. Focus on book 1. Focus on making book 1 a complete story, a completely rounded story. Then worry about, what comes after. I think of part of why I'm a little bit more attracted to that romantic folk horror is because it is also a standalone, and I feel that it is a bit more marketable right now than the high fantasy trilogy that I queried. And I had a couple of agents like ask for, more material, but eventually, they all kind of passed. Or they didn't kind of pass, they passed. I know that one's probably not, as marketable. I think it's because I have a prologue, but I will fight for that prologue. But I've also been querying a kind of a low fantasy, dark academia kind of horror. So it's not really horror, but it's more of like a fantastical horror. There's a ghost story involved. And I have gotten a few agents of like the handful that I have, queried, have asked for more material. And I think I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Like, I am more aware of what makes a book more marketable and more appealing, I guess, to traditional publishing, I guess is kind of what I want to say. But I've gotten better at knowing how to pitch a project and to whom to pitch it to. I guess I'm a lot more uh I'm a lot pickier when it comes to agents now than I was with literally any other project that I've done. Is I will not send my stuff to just anyone. Now that I know that I am capable of self-publishing and that there are a ton of small presses out there, I am not afraid of self-publishing. I still I still want that traditional publishing end goal, I guess, like or just to experience what it's like to be traditionally published, just to kind of feel like get that firsthand experience. But I guess I'm still kind of in that mindset that traditional publishing is the highest rank. That is, you're the best of the best when you are traditionally published. And I know that's not true. I'm aware that is not true. There are so many very talented and successful indie authors with great books. And there are plenty of not so good authors with not so good books who have been traditionally published. We can all agree on that, I think. But that's still kind of, that's the pinnacle. If you are selected by an agent, you get a good book deal, you are up there. You are among the elite. And even though I know that getting an agent is not like the end all, like just because an agent offers a representation, that does not mean your career is going to explode. Because then they have to go pitch your project to an editor, and that editor might hate it. So that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go anywhere. Publishing is hard, but I've been trying to work on that because and I think part of like my stress as far as like my writing goes is due to because like there's all these like AI witch hunts going on now. And not necessarily the witch hunts itself, but just that because like all these AI programs have allowed people to kind of bypass the writing journey that I went on, kind of cheat code it to write a book and publish a book, that it almost feels like there's a time limit now. Like, all these people that are now writing books, that's more, books out there. That's more books to compete with. And it almost feels like there's a time crunch. And I know there's not. Number one rule of writing, do not rush. But it just feels like there's so much more competition now, and there's probably not as much as I think there is. You just get on, the old TikTok, or you get on threads, and it's just like they act like the world is going to fall apart if an AI book is published, and it probably already is. What do you do about it? That's kind of my stress level. I'm stressed about it. I know there's nothing really I can do about it, but as an author, there's this, sense of tension that my books are somehow less valuable, or that you have all these people that are going to, shove their ideas into like, ChatGPT and it's going to spit out a book and then it's going to be better than mine. or something like that, and they're going to get more attention. I'm going to be over here like, I've struggled for 10 years to get my books in front of people, to work on my skills as a writer, and then someone comes up and like cheat codes it and like gets in front of me, and it's just like, that aggravates me. I don't even know if it's happened yet. It might not, it might have, I don't know. Oh, and if I see one more person claiming that if you use an M dash, that means that your book was written by ChatGPT. No, it wasn't. I use M dashes all the time. I've used M dashes since I started my writing in like 2011. That's when I started writing fan fiction, when ChatGPT did not exist. And it's just so irritating because they're so certain and they're so sure of themselves that if you use an M dash, that means it was written by AI. No, it wasn't. That means AI used all of our work to code itself, and yeah, it's going to use it because that's what it was trained to do. Idiots. So I have juggled multiple projects before, so I shouldn't be stressed out about trying to write, this high fantasy over here, but then also this full core over here, because they're different enough that, I can separate them. Of course, I've written two high fantasies at the same time, and it's been okay. Because sometimes I feel like one, sometimes I feel like the other one. It's just trying to find one project to really sink my teeth into. Because a part of me thinks, like, 'cause I feel like my career has almost stalled a little bit. Like, I've had a lot more success this past year with like Stars and Bones. We made the first book free. I've done a lot of promotions. The entire series is out, and I have seen a boom of success, a boom of success with like downloads for the first book, downloads for all 6 books, and reviews and people saying nice things. And, of course, there's been a few, like, negative, like, 1 or 2 stars, but yeah, it's just what it is. And I feel like that success is kind of stalled. And I'm hoping that, by pushing out this next book this year, that it'll kind of sweep some of that back. Because I think sometimes readers are intimidated because it's a 6 book series and they don't want to, like, get into a series, or, like, what if it's not good, but then they think they have to finish it. So I'm hoping a standalone will be more enticing. And because book 1 is free of Stars and Bones, it disqualifies it for several different kinds of promotions. So I'm hoping that having this other book that I can kind of jump back into, like the promotion bandwagon. But then I've kind of fallen back into that old fear of I'm not publishing fast enough. And I know I felt like this most of like my early days of writing, that I wasn't that I wasn't I was afraid that I wasn't publishing fast enough, and I was going to get swept away and nobody was going to notice my books. But I don't know. And I've also got so many projects that I'm sitting on that I fear that it's going to be kind of like a situation with that high fantasy trilogy that I'm trying to work on, where I will put it aside and then I will forget about it. And then I will not be able to get back into the groove of that story and those characters, not like I was when I wrote that first book. Because, like with Stars and Bones, I wrote book 1 and I just snowballed into the rest of the series. And yes, there were several, drafts and revisions and changes, but I pretty much had that series like snowballed over the course of a few years, because that is almost the entire thing that I worked on. And I'm afraid that I will fall out of love with all these projects that I'm sitting on because I can't, get them out fast enough. And that is one downside to working with a publisher or an agent or a small press or really anything, that you aren't just working on your own time. You are working on their time also. And how fast you can get things out is hindered by everyone else's time. So, someone else is going to have to edit the book, and that might take them time. And then someone's going to make the cover, and that might take them a little time, instead of me going and finding someone and paying them X amount to do the edits, me going back over those edits, kind of doing another round of edits, and kind of being able to do everything on my own time, which I I like to do things more like efficiently and get things done, but at the same time I know that those things take time. And should be okay. Should be okay with publishing a book a year. Like that's I think is very doable. It is reasonable because more than that is excessive. Especially like when you're writing fantasy and there's so many things you got to keep track of. You've got to go over it and make sure all your magic is consistent throughout the entire thing, that your world building makes sense. Versus if you're writing contemporary, you don't necessarily have those things. I'm not saying that writing contemporary is easy by any means. That's not what I'm saying. It's just there's different things involved within, in comparison to like fantasy or like science fi, science fiction. It's been a long day. It's been a long week. I still kind of have a headache. I didn't this morning. I do now. Maybe it's the sirens. Those ghost sirens. Maybe I had a stroke. That's not. I shouldn't. I should not. I should not joke about strokes. It's bad. It's bad mojo. Oh, and I'm still trying to read. I am reading The Lord of the Rings right now, the original trilogy, and I'm somewhere in the Fellowship of the Ring because it's like the book that I bought was like all three books in like one volume, and I'm somewhere in the Fellowship of the Ring, I think. Oh, we're at the elf place, and Gandalf just explained where he was during the events of Frodo's journey from the Shire to Elrond, I think. Elrod, whatever his name is, Elf King. Gandalf just went this whole supervillain spiel about where he was during the entire thing. I'm also reading Onyx Storm. It is taking me so long to get through this book. It's what, June? I started reading this book when it came out in like what, February? I am not even halfway through. I don't know what it is about Onyx Storm that is just taking me so long to get through. I flew through Fourth Wing and I pushed myself to get through Iron Flame. I think that's what did it. Because Iron Flame, I enjoyed the story, but oh my goodness, it needed an editor. There was just so much that didn't just, it was rushed. And Onyx Storm doesn't feel as rushed, but I'm just struggling to get back into the world and get back into the characters because it's just, and I think some of it is just I don't really feel the relationship between Violet and what's his name? Zayden. That's his name, right? Xander? It's Zayden, right? I'm pretty sure it is. I think there's an N in it. But I'm not feeling their relationship. Like, I don't feel a romance between them. And it's like every time they look at each other, it's just like that insta lust. And I'm kind of over it. Can we get on with the plot? Can we stop, thinking about having sex with each other? Can we just stop? Ugh. But I think that is what's taking me so long to get through this book. I'm enjoying it. The story is good so far. It's just taking a long time to get anywhere. And I also started reading Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson, and I am enjoying it so far. I am less than 100 pages in, but it's so charming and relaxing, and it's kind of the break that I needed from Onyx Storm. I'm reading several things. I've got like 7 books on my currently reading list. Hold on. I'm getting my phone to pull up my Goodreads. Oh, Blood Over Brighthaven. That is the book I'm also reading. It's really good so far, but it's the book I'm reading on my phone on my Kindle app. Don't ask me why I need a book for every device. But so I'm not reading it as fast because I'm not reading it as often, but I'm really enjoying it so far. Like it's high fantasy and they've taken the magic system and they've turned it into like a science and they get real nerdy with it and I am thoroughly enjoying it. Oh, The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I started reading that book and I had to be in the mood for that one. I'm also listening to Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates. A bunch of people get stranded in a cabin in the snowy woods and people start dying and they don't know who did it. I think I'm about halfway through that one. I'm listening to that one through Spotify and I will listen to it like on the way to work or something. And I'm also listening to A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking by T. Kingfisher. That one, I have it on my chirp and I listened to, like, no joke, I listened to the first half of that book in one sitting. It's also very delightful. But I just have to be in the mood to sit and listen to an audiobook now. My goal was to read more this year by reading more audiobooks. And I have, like, I am already halfway through my reading goal, which I'm usually not by this time. But it's just, I don't know. Maybe I've been depressed. That's not something to joke about. It's serious. I get home and I'm just not really in the mood. Like, dead of winter, I tried to listen to it one night and I decided I could not listen to it before I went to sleep because I was going to have dreams of being trapped in a cabin and like either being the killer or like trying to run away from a killer. And I don't. This is why I'm reading The Lord of the Rings before I fall asleep because it's a lot more easy on the mind, I guess. It's not easy to read. It's because it's written in kind of like that older English, but it's easier on the mind to digest before bed. I would much rather read about being a hobbit wandering through the woods than finding somebody's head in the woods. But I'm kind of in that one point where like there's so many books I want to read, and then I'll start reading, and then like it's just not scratching that itch I wanted to scratch. Like all these books here behind me on this shelf, all of these, I have not read these. These are my Alcrate books, well, except for the Sanctuary there on the end and Bloodguard there. Those are not Alcrate editions. They're just pretty. But you can see some of them are still in the plastic because they're shiny. I haven't read them yet because I just haven't had time. And I don't read that fast because I'm kind of digesting the story because I read as an author also, and I'm trying to take in the story and how the story is presented and how the author has done what they've done. I wish I had more time. Also wish I had more time to bake. I have a recipe somewhere that I can't find anymore for homemade Pop-Tarts. That was exciting. I was going to make homemade Pop-Tarts. Because Pop-Tarts are terrible for you. That list of ingredients is like a science experiment. This coming week, or this weekend, when I really can sit down and like work on a project. I really, really, really want to get to the end of this first draft of this horror, romance, horror, folk, horror story that I'm writing. I need a microphone because like I can't have like something on my head, my hair, because it's just everywhere. But yeah, I'm recording. I had this moment of I'm not recording and I've just been sitting here talking for 20 minutes. But I want to get to the end of the first draft of that one. And maybe I can think about like doing like a beta reader or like an editor or something to like, look at it, tell me if the story's viable. That is my goal. I want to finish the rough draft or finish the first draft of this full core contemporary romance. And I would also like to finish the rough draft of book 2 in this high fantasy trilogy. Those are my two main projects. And if I say it here out loud and then publish it on YouTube, I can't go back on it. I have to do those. It's like when you announce something, to other people, it gives you more motivation because if you don't tell anybody and you quit, no one's going to know. But now everyone's going to know if I don't do it. So those are my upcoming goals. I want to finish at least one of the books that I'm reading because I've been reading the same 7 books for like 2 weeks. I want to finish Onyx Storm. I do. I get down, I sit, and then I read a chapter, and then I just put it down. I'm like, all right, I'm done. Because I don't want to have 8 books that I'm currently reading because that's a lot. I don't know. We will see. Hopefully, with my next check-in, I will have more progress. I will have a book that I can gush about. I will have an updated reading list. I will have better news, more positive news of my works that I'm working on. It was kind of a rambling 34 minutes of me rambling. Of course, there was a pause in there where I had to fix my hair. So stay tuned for more bits of madness from me. This is what being an author is. You want to be an author, this is what it's going to be. And I like how I said I was going to do like weekly updates, and then it's like 2 weeks later. I'm like, oh, I haven't done an update in a while. I should probably do that. Here we are. I got several chapters done, so I feel like this week has been a no, I feel like on a whole this week has probably been a failure because I haven't done as much as I wanted to. Then again, I never do as much as I wanted to because I want to do, unless I have a finished draft in front of me, I don't think I did enough. Eh, alas, here we are.